What a jump scare is that? Hello? Oh, disk read error. That ain't good. Wait, what? I held the power button and it no longer has a disk read error. I don't know what I did, but it seems to have worked. Update, maybe? Testing session of 6.1? Is 6.1 out? No, it is not. Okay. Cool. Okay. Hello, Fortnite is now when it's Chinese season. What? That didn't make any sense. How was your day? It's been pretty good so far. I had work earlier. I'm tired from work and also from Thanksgiving. Uh, and uh-oh. Time to exit. Okay. I have an idea for something I want to do in Mario Kart going forward for the next several streams probably. Uh, and there's obviously news to talk about. There's politics to do, and such. So I'm gonna be doing that as well. But I'm not gonna. I'm gonna try to pump the brakes a little bit. You know, like not explode on a rant or something. At least said the future. You don't have to worry about content. Be that as it may. Please launch. Yes. Okay. All right. Cool. What's Twitch doing? That's what it's doing. I see. Okay. All right. I definitely typed one or two leftist memes into my text document because I thought I would be talking about them at length, but I don't know if I really want to. Certified leftist moment. I type out a fucking essay and then decide not to post it ultimately. What's up, Globalize My Agenda? Welcome back to chat. Um I will I'll dedicate a tiny bit of time to one of the things that I actually did have written down. My styles, I usually just say what's on top of my head. That usually doesn't go wrong. You know, pretty good for a stream chat, I will say. Okay, so first off, here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do an all vehicle tour. Yeah, well, for first things first, I'm gonna just start with the me mock bike until I can decide what lightweight one I want to switch to. How many things you have written down? It's only like 3 or 4, but one of them is like really fucking long. Anyways, somebody apparently, well, a couple of people actually really didn't like my video about ballot measures. There was a couple of dislikes and you know, negative comment. And I don't know. Originally, I was gonna type out a paragraph explaining why I said what I said, but ultimately, like, you know, my emphasizing of ballot measures and a way in which the proletariat has extremely direct access to the levers of power is so basic and so fundamental to any sort of socialist theory and organizing principles that, like, you would genuinely have to be a Fed to disagree with anything I said in that video, you know? Now, you could disagree with things that I didn't say, you know, that's for sure. You could disagree with something that you thought I said, but I didn't. But, like, yeah. Talking about people who treat the left as a social party. Yeah, mostly. The people who are like, yeah, but I don't want to do that because it's bourgeois or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, well, ballot measures are still bourgeois electoralism. Like, man, shut your bitch ass up. You know? And I will still defend the participation of the proletariat in bourgeois electoralism. You know? Because there are, at the local level, and like, below the federal level, there are still parties that could be pressured by the working class into doing stuff that would be good for, you know, the working class. There's stuff like the Working Families Party and the DSA and like the Sunrise Movement and stuff like that, you know, that you should vote for if they are available. And that, like, all of this stuff combines with you know, the somewhat more favorable candidates and the ballot measures and labor organizing all combine to create an environment where certain reforms get passed that make labor organizing in the future much easier, and that make it very hard for reaction to, well, keep society in a state of regression. That's not to say things won't regress all the same, but, like, you have to do something, man. Yeah, there are a lot of people that are just like, if it's not literally the ghost of Karl Marx or something, then I don't want it. You know, like, dog. You have to engage with the system as it currently exists if you want to change the system that currently exists. That's kind of inherent to systemic critique, is that you have to try to change it. Yeah, voting is bourgeois, so let's do nothing at all. Yeah, there's like a trifecta of organizing here. Voting for candidates, you know, at the typical, like, ballot box sort of thing. Which I would also bundle that with, like, organizing for candidates. And then there's, like, ballot measure organizing, you know, campaigns for direct ballot initiatives and things where the popular vote one-to-one influences policy. So that the left may get some foothold of a presence inside the halls of power at the local level. And then labor organizing and tenant organizing. Yeah, let's all LARP about a revolution online and complain while the country falls to fascism. Yeah, true. I wish the left was as powerful as the right said. God, I fucking wish too. Holy shit. You imagine how much better of a world we'd be living in? But yeah. Long story short, people found, I guess somebody found that video disagreeable because voting for ballot measures or organizing for ballot measures is bourgeois, and the fascists can just undo them later, which is just, like, Fed shit. To them, liberals are a part of the left. That's true. You know, fascists, when they say the left, they include liberals in that because they see communism under every unturned stone, which includes stones where it isn't. Yeah. If you're trying to, look, the way I usually come at this, the way I usually approach this is that if you're trying to, like I tried to, and still try to, every now and again, if I try to put forward some positive information that is instructive in insofar as organizing and mitigating the fallout of fascism or whatever, and somebody is like, you know, engaging with that, like, you're not Marxist enough or whatever, like, they don't care. They're just feds. You know, like, fucking, what do I do with that? Vosh had a similar drama once with voting. I know, I remember that. I remember Vosh defending the process of voting. In fact, you know, I would say to all the people that say, like, oh, you know, bourgeois electoralism is well, I mean, it is bourgeois, but, like, oh, you shouldn't do it. That is a extremely liberal mindset that people fall into when they're like, yeah, you shouldn't vote, like, straight up, because you can't do anything if you don't exercise what little power you have. And it's also extremely liberal to assume that everything can be accomplished by voting, like, for the most ideal candidate. If you think that there's going to appear a perfect candidate that you can vote for that will do the Marxist revolution, you're a liberal. You're not a materialist. Like, dog, you're just a fucking... Yeah. No understanding of the material circumstances necessary to produce a socialist movement. I think it's a privilege not to care about voting. Hot take. Oh, it absolutely is. It 100% is. Because, like, you know their ass is not on the line if Republicans win. You know? Like, my ass, kind of on the line if/when Republicans win. I have the privilege to not necessarily need to care about voting, but I do. Anyways, that's not going to be a segment or anything. I just thought I'd bring it up. Republicans would kill me if they had the chance. Yeah, they'd probably kill me too. You know? Dang it, I messed up that little thing. Oh no, I was gonna throw that forward. I didn't mean to hit them like that. Okay. After this race, I swear, I'm gonna pick a lightweight and I'll start on the all vehicle tour. There was just that one thing that I wanted to mention first, because it's frustrating that, like, you know, those kinds of leftists, you hear what's happening to the educational system. Yeah, the Republicans are going to follow through with their ambitions to, if not completely abolish, then at the very least, like, decimate the Department of Education, with, like, private school subsidies and shit like that. But, like, the self-proclaimed leftists who pretend to care about, like, that will pretend to, like, care about the revolution and then, like, lambast you when you decide to do anything because you have decided to participate in bourgeois society, which is the only form of society that currently exists unless you're in, like, what, Rojava? I don't know. Like, these are the kinds of people that will always say, like, read theory and whatever, but I've read theory and none of it agrees with these fucking people. You know? Like, theory is where I got my takes. Like, that ballot measure take. Don't people call them Bernier busters? Yeah, Bernier busters sometimes turned into those types, but there are actually a lot of Bernier busters, or like Bernie bros, I guess you could call them as well, that actually landed in a much more productive spot than those people did. You know, like Hassan and Chapo Trap House and all those guys. I mean, Hassan voted for Biden, I think. I don't know. But, like, there are a number of people that are in sort of, like, the Hassan sphere of politics. That, like, actually do the organizing and shit, that actually do, grassroots campaigning and stuff, and they do vote and stuff, despite how much they hate the Democratic Party, and I hate them too. But, like, that video, that ballot measures video, I need you guys to understand that that is basically directly taken from Luxembourg, like Rosa Luxemburg. You know? That is the theory that I mostly draw from. Alright, we're gonna start with lightweights. For a lot of my takes. It's very foundational to my worldview, Rosa Luxemburg. And then you get these so-called Marxists that are literally, like, confronted directly with Luxemburgist theory, and they're like, nuh-uh. It's like, dog. You know they've never read theory. And yeah, they do treat it like it's the Bible, like it's some religious doctrine that you violated the sacrosanct nature of by, like, engaging with society that, you know, that you're critical of, you know? Anyway. I've already dedicated about 15 minutes to that, which is about 10 minutes more than I wanted to. So I'm gonna resume my play here and talk about something else. That being the impending tide of fascism that has been rising actually in many countries, including the United States, that we are now confronted with in the form of the Trump administration, or the soon-to-be Trump administration, and talking about and potentially even reneging on very early their promise of tariffs, right? The Trump admin was like, yeah, we want to do tariffs and stuff like that. Which, make no mistake, shit ass idea, horrible idea. You know, there is an argument to be made for tariffs and economic protectionism if you are a third world country like, say, Vietnam or Cambodia or like fucking Congo or something like that. If you're a country in like Central Africa or Southeast Asia or anywhere in the third world where industry has been hollowed out and consumed by Western countries and businesses, there's a legitimate argument to be had that tariffs can be useful, because while tariffs hurt everybody, that means they also hurt Western businesses and disincentivize them from setting up shop there, for lack of a better way of putting it. Which means that if you couple tariffs with intense subsidies on internal industries, then you get a situation reminiscent of the East Asian Tigers. In fact, this is exactly what they did, where they put a lot of money into funding their own internal processes of production and developed robust enough domestic industry such that when they opened up the markets more to the world, the world market, they had capital with which to bargain. They weren't instantly descended upon by a menagerie of like business interests that would hollow out the country, because they had their own business interests basically with which to hollow out other countries. This is still like development under a capitalist system, but this is all like with a materialist framework. That same thing, you know, tariffs, shit ass idea when you're talking about the United States, which has like zero need to protect its own interests from other countries, because we are the country from which interests need to be protected, right? Like, does that make sense? The reason that third world countries can do tariffs and somewhat benefit from them over time is because of the threat of the United States. You know, the United States has nothing that we need to do protectionism from. China's our biggest trading partner. We benefit massively from trade with them. We're a global debtor. We benefit from taking on debt to other countries and stuff. And like, the only thing tariffs would do is essentially facilitate a massive transfer of wealth from the working classes of America to the wealthy classes, the owning classes and capital classes, by way of increased prices and like basically the hollowing out of labor protections and gains made over the past several years and decades even, because the like one of the things that it would do effectively is lock off the United States from a lot of things cheaply made overseas. And in order to replicate that, you know, Americans want their goodies. We would basically need to do slave labor at home to replicate how cheap things are when we purchase them from slave labor overseas, right? It would be that bad. I think part of the tariffs thing is also try to fuck with the cost of living in Europe and encourage far-right movements there. And that's where we get to the meat of this tariff policy, because as we've seen recently, tariffs might not happen. You know, Trump recently, a little while ago, had a phone call with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, who is a socialist. Very cool, thank you. And basically said, like, oh, yeah, you know, she agreed to all of my border demands and she will increase border security and stop the flow of illegal immigration coming into America, so we don't need to do the tariffs. And Claudia Sheinbaum was like, yeah, that's not true. We just agreed to, like, reinforce our protection of human rights at the border and, like, maybe add some more border security people or whatever. So it is really, like, just the threat of that. Didn't she say that Trump's a liar? Yeah, she probably did, because she's cool. But that reveals to I think a lot of us, or it reveals to the general landscape of politics, that the tariffs that Trump was proposing, or that he ran on, that his campaign was so fixated on, that economic populism, was a ruse, and effectively that he just wanted to use it as a geopolitical cudgel to leverage our allies into doing what he wanted them to do, which would mean that, like, functionally it's just going to be a repeat of the kind of helicoptering around that Trump did in his first term, where he was like, I will tariff our allies unless they do this, this, and this, which he largely frames in terms of political platitudes. And then they give some minor concessions, and he's like, great news, they're doing everything that I told them to do. And they're like, we're not, but okay. And then he doesn't do the tariffs. Because keep in mind that tariffs would be so instantly ruinous that mass social upheaval would occur. What stuff will he do? That's actually a good question. The things I could see a Trump administration doing, cutting taxes is one of them, because you can still have economic growth while having taxes be slashed and the working class hollowed out. Anything that is compatible with the capitalist line go up narrative, right? Expect him to do some of that stuff. And they are also authentically social reactionaries, so they are going to probably try to ram through some, like, bans on trans people in the bathroom or something like that. Is it the fake tax reduction where it's only for rich people permanently? That's the realest kind of tax reduction that exists in the world, and yes, it will be that. Basically, my rule for this challenge, for, like, doing the whole all vehicle tour, is I want to get a race with each one where I, like, gain VR. I'm gonna start using this. I see that comment. I'll have to let that, like, screen that in a second. Fifth place? Okay. Oh, what? Sixth? Do you think Harris will win the Democratic nomination next time? She says she wants to run again in 2028. That's 4 years from now, so hard to say for sure, but you know, she's going for it, and she might get it, because remember what I said in the MatPat video, the Democratic nomination process, the Democratic primary process, is way less democratic than the Republican primary and nomination process. Now she ain't winning. She might not, but, you know. Full version of that message? What? But yeah, the fact that she wants to run again in 2028 just confirms to me that the Democrats not only did not learn their lesson, but learned all the wrong lessons, and are, like, you know, it's not just in the negative they didn't learn what they should have, it's in the positive they aggressively learned what they shouldn't have. And the full message, it censors trans people. Yeah, I see the full thing on my screen. I think she will be the nominee next time, just because however bad the Republicans are sucking, the Dems will find a way to be even worse in the eyes of the electorate. That's true. Yeah, the Democrats are impressively incompetent. Like, genuinely, they have cultivated failure. They have cultivated failure by rejecting success time and time again. Keep in mind that, like, the Democratic Party was quicker to censure Rashida Tlaib for saying that Israel has committed war crimes than they were to commit to condemn Israel even verbally or symbolically for having done said war crimes, right? Like that's the priority of the Democratic Party. They are fully institutionalist to their core, and Kamala Harris is another one of that ilk. Yeah, they get it's like fucking what is it, like Darwin Awards for being the stupidest person alive or whatever. Oh, you can snake here? That's sick. Let's go. Swear Kamala Harris doesn't really care much. He lost even the how much damage that will cause. Yeah, no, Kamala Harris definitely doesn't care. And a lot of people in DC don't. You know, you can tell with Kamala Harris, it's pretty easy to tell because she literally like she lost the election and then instantly went. I'm getting fucked up, by the way. She lost the election and then was like, okay, I'm gonna go on vacation in Hawaii real quick. Just fucking disappeared from public life. You know, which means that she clearly wasn't all that invested in winning to begin with, right? But then also, one of the things that the Democratic Party has like it sort of showed their ass on is that they don't have any real positions, right? Like it's that thing I mentioned like 2 or 3 streams in a row about like the Democrats trying to constantly shift what their position is on any given thing to appear inoffensive, which paradoxically made them just be more offensive because it made it clear that they don't have any real beliefs, right? Like, you know, I remember seeing there was a Pod Save America was like making the rounds and stuff like that, interviewing a bunch of people and whatnot. And it was basically they were kind of like, I don't understand. What did we do wrong? We tried to pander to such and such demographic, and like they're so fixated on campaigning to certain people that they have completely lost the sauce on what it means to be campaigning for something. If that makes sense, right? Like they view this as like sports. It's a game to them. Fourth? Not bad. That statement from Democrats proves how much they don't care about people and how lowly they think of them. Yeah. It's like it didn't even register that they needed to be popular in order to win an election. You know? And like all of that isn't even to mention the ways in which the Democrats are behind insofar as the media war. How that like they have very little presence in the online space or even in mainstream news anymore. Like Republicans are eating up all the airtime because the Democrats are putting in no effort to eat up any airtime of their own. Even left-leaning news outlets. You think Democrats are ever making headlines about some crazy or cool or like controversial things that they said? No. But Republicans do that all the time. Yeah, and the sort of liberal coalition doubled down on the like consultancy brain where they're like, shit, we should have pandered harder to Republicans. Like, great. Glad to know that you don't actually like know what you're doing or care, because you know that none of these fucking people have political science degrees or have any formal education in politics or like sociology or anything. All of them are like grill pilled and consultants and like petty bourgeois or whatever the hell. Yeah, Democrats are just the sad, like really, you know, really sad little coalition of like, oh, you know, we'll get them next time. Like when the Republicans say any and everything, and because the Democrats say nothing, they get away with it. Like literally, that is why the Republicans are still relevant, because all they have to do is say something. And they're already, like, a step ahead of the Democrats. Because the Democrats won't say anything. And Republicans say Democrats control the media. Yeah, they say all sorts of shit. And that's it, right? That's just it. They say all sorts of shit on the news media. They'll talk about how they're censored on the news media and whatnot. And because there's no pushback, people just believe it. Oops. Get away with obvious bullshit because no one calls them on it. Yeah, and you know what? Republicans, there have been a couple of times when Republicans have been, like, had asses made of themselves because somebody on occasion called them on their shit in a way that was, like, charismatic and interesting and stuff like that. Think about, like, Sean O'Brien, for how much of a piece of shit this guy is for selling out to Trump. There was, that, like, hearing. Yeah, Democrats can't make headlines. That hearing where fucking Sean O'Brien got really angry at, like, Markwayne Mullin during that hearing, that made headlines. You know, because it's like, oh my god, this labor leader actually is, like, lambasting a Republican politician. For once, the Republicans are actually facing pushback from somebody who ostensibly represents the interests of labor. Yeah, the only time Democrats make headlines is when they lose an election. Republican media won't criticize the Republican Party, not the same for the Democratic media. Partially, but also I think that misses the broader point. Like, that in itself is a true thing to say, but I think that misses the broader point. You can have left media that is critical of the left coalition and still be dominant in the media space. The problem is just that Republicans have a media apparatus that they use to get their messaging out there. The Democrats just don't do this. They just don't engage with the media. They'll occasionally engage with, like, legacy media, but nobody fucking watches that. Like, you know, we talk occasionally, you know, certain other politics live streamers like Vosh or Hassan or whoever will come up on stream. Vosh and Hassan get more views per month on their channels than any given legacy media outlet does. More people care about what Vosh and Hassan have to say than what fucking CNN and NBC have to say on TV news. You know, this runs way deeper than, like, oh, the fucking Republican media won't criticize the Republicans. The Republicans just have more media, you know? Like, they have Fox News, which is the only TV news outlet that anybody watches anymore, and they have the Joe Rogan podcast, and they have Lex Fridman, and they have Twitter, you know, under the thumb of Elon Musk, and they have, like, fucking a massive hegemony on Facebook, and they have all sorts of assorted right-wing radio talk shows. Talk radio is completely dominated by conservatives. The Democrats have what? MSNBC? You know? And of course, you know, it doesn't help that the Democrats are also not really on the left. The Democrats being liberals and having that ideological baggage to them really hamstrung them in a lot of ways, because liberals are mired with this bizarre belief that somehow the superiority of their positions will be supernaturally and magically communicated to the voters, or is understood at a supernatural and magical innate level. They don't think they have to weave a narrative because they are moral realists. You know the phrase that, like, the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. If you inspect that closer, people had to fucking work and sweat and bleed and die for that to even remotely resemble the world in which we live. Democrats think that just sort of happens on its own. You know? They think there is that, like, universal moral truth in the universe. And that inhibits them from being active in really anything that they do. And a big part of that is media messaging. That's reflected in their lack of media presence, the degree to which they, like, straight up don't believe that media messaging is a thing that's necessary in politics. Shit, I gotta use this. You think Gen Z men will go rightward because of poor education and... I mean, we've kind of already seen that, right? Like, you know? But again, the only reason that that happened, like, you know, Gen Z is still a very progressive generation, but they vote more Republican than previous generations because the Republicans are the only one giving them a narrative with which to sort of inform their votes with any sort of vibes-based politics. Politics is all about vibes. You know, when the Republicans are the only ones offering any vibes to go off of, that's what people are going to vote for. You know, you'd be surprised how many union workers and people who understand the relationship, the confrontational and contradictory relationship between labor and capital vote Republican. You know, these are people that know, yeah, the billionaires are like, you know, hollowing out America and plundering the working class. And obviously, you know, our interests are contrary to theirs and we want to assert worker power in this country. And that's why I believe we should unionize and stuff like that. But consistent among people who think that way, among people who, you know, are in that position who will vote Republican, there's a lot of them that will say Republicans may offer us lies, but Democrats offer us nothing at all. You know? Yeah, at times it really does feel like the Democrats only exist to stop movements to the left. You know? It's kind of in line with that Malcolm X, you know, when Malcolm X said that, like, the liberal is more duplicitous than the conservative because the conservative does not pretend to be your ally. The liberal does. And when I say the liberal, the conservative, I don't mean like all liberals are like this. All liberal human beings are like this. All conservative human beings are like this. Although I will more readily make that statement of conservatives. But like liberalism as an ideology and liberals as a block, as a political block, are at times more effective at being a detriment to the left, at least in a liberal democratic environment, because they pose as an ally, you know, and they effectively pacify movements. The right having an openly hostile and confrontational stance against the left, against labor, they cannot pacify movements, not long term. In fact, they ignite them. You know, either through words or actions. I didn't get an item. Oh, this thing's drift sucks. I didn't know you could drive on that like that. No! Ah, damn it. I don't know why... I don't know why that works like that. Once I get through this boost panel section, I will use this bullet bill. Okay, yeah, there's no way I'm catching up. Give me that. What's up, Jacob? Oh my god, this thing's drift sucks. Oh, man. You see that one video where Bosch gave a coconut analogy to a Democrat? Wait, what? I have not seen this. Oh, actually, speaking of MSNBC, I mentioned them earlier as like the only thing that the Democrats have. MSNBC and a lot of other liberal news media outlets that were nominally more favorable to the Democrats, they still called it 50-50 a lot, and they're now like bending the knee to Trump and the far right. And MSNBC is going bankrupt. And Elon Musk is considering buying them. Hooray, fucking Democrat media messaging. One bankrupt news outlet that is going to be purchased and subsumed into the far right news media economy. Great. Democrat Party don't believe in coercion. Oh. Yeah, I mean they are a capitalist party. Both parties are capitalist right now. We don't even have an in-name socialist representation outside of fucking one senator. You know? The coconut analogy, it's like it revolves around the concept of coercion, not just to establish that it exists, but rather to say that in the face of life-threatening coercion, such as that which you would encounter in a Coconut Island scenario, violence to overthrow the source of that coercion, to basically upset the property order that results in that coercion, is justified. You know, like that plane crash lands on an island, you know, the guy's got all the coconuts, and he says, if you suck my dick, I will let you have the coconuts. And the implied thing that being like, if you don't, then no coconuts for you, no food, etc., etc. The point of that is, would you be justified in going and grabbing a, like, large stick and bonking the guy on the head and taking a coconut anyway? And the answer is obviously yes. Your life is on the line. That's your food source, you know? And that is one of the many forms of coercion, in albeit more complicated and extrapolated form, that you see in a capitalist world, in a capitalist economy, is that essential goods and services such as food are gatekept behind private ownership in a way where if you do not perform labor that can just be, you know, taken from you, right? Like if you don't sell yourself to the enterprises either that make the food or that have the power to determine whether your labor means anything, then you don't get food. You don't get, like, your essential fucking resources for life, right? And that's bad and you know, very coercive. And the point of the coconut analogy is that it is a desperate enough situation that a violent revolution in order to overthrow such a regime would be justified. In before MSNBC's US is the sun. Oh, I know what the sun is. Fuck. I still haven't gotten a race where I've gained VR on the standard cart small. The fact that I'm on an outside drift does not make this any easier. Yeah, I can't wait for MSNBC to just turn into another far-right tabloid. That'll be great. Get the shit out. Get all that shit up. Alright, cool. Anyways. You know, I've been watching, using Outside Drift and Mario Kart Wii is like using Kirby and Melee. That's true. I fucking can speak from experience. What do Republicans think will happen if they won't stop posting 1350? I don't know if I put that sentence correctly. I kind of understand what you mean, but like, I'm not sure I fully understand. I know what, like, I know that conservatives very frequently, at least used to post 1350. Nowadays, they just kind of say Heil Hitler or whatever. You know? Like, conservatives will just say that shit, whereas they previously they had to be a little bit more coy about it. Oh, what do they think is going to continue to happen if they're being racist? Well, what they want, and what they think is going to happen under a conservative administration is that they will be able to, they will sort of be socially allowed to be racist with no repercussions, which is not true. As I outlined in the video about ballot measures and why those are going to be so important, why it's important to engage with politics at the local level in a way that's very hard for fascists to overturn. Um, the what like the reason that, you know, conservatives can't really be just racist with complete impunity is because the social circumstances just aren't there for it. The average American, even the average conservative, isn't an absolute, like, foaming at the mouth racist. There are a lot of people that are kind of casually, you know, have some racist attitudes or whatever, but they, like, if you ask the average American about, like, you know, their views on black Americans, they don't really, like, they wouldn't really have a problem with them. It's not like in Eastern Europe where there's some people that literally say, like, yeah, oh, you know, you ask a Serbian and they'll say that all Bosnians and all, like, fucking you know, Kosovars are not real, but also they're subhuman animals that deserve to be purged in a ethnic cleansing or some shit. Like, that level of racism does not exist really in America, except possibly for immigrants. And even then, I think that, like, the degree to which that kind of racism is present is kneecapped by the absolute necessity of having undocumented labor accessible in this country. People, the hard truth of it is that people want their Chinese manufactured and Mexican manufactured goodies more than they hate people from those countries. Surprising how progressive people are considering the media they consume. Yeah, well, you know, and a lot of that is because of two things. First of all, a lot of that media, a lot of the far-right media in America is also kind of kneecapped in what they can get away with, insofar as, like, overt racism, right? Like, a lot of the far-right media, even Fox News, would be forced to say, like, well, you know, obviously we don't want to go back to Jim Crow or slavery. Like, that shit's bad. That's for one. But then for two, a lot of people have a sort of discrete separation in their mind between the political and the interpersonal. A lot of people at the political level will deny that systemic racism exists. They'll do the whole song and dance about, like, oh, you know, we're in a post-racial society. You know, what are black people so upset about? But then, like, at the interpersonal level, they're not gonna, like, say the N-word to the black people that they're not gonna just go calling black people on the street the N-word unless they're a Klan member, and even sometimes not even then. People say I can't understand how you can talk about politics and normal stuff simultaneously to me, and it's weird when they say that, in my opinion. I think the reason that people say that is just because we've been conditioned to think that politics is this mystical, uniquely outside of the scope of life thing that you're not supposed to talk about, which is actually a one of the great successes of bourgeois consent manufacturing, because, you know, if you don't talk about politics, then the awareness doesn't develop of politics, and that lets the owning class get away with whatever the fuck that they want. You know. You think that, like, Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates are refraining from talking politics? They're casually mentioning, like, that's casual life for them. They're mentioning, like, oh yeah, you know, I might donate such and such money to so and so that they will be more you know, so that they'll safeguard my interests here and here, and so that they'll be more light-handed on this business investment here. Like, that's normal shit for rich people. Low battery. Okay. I'm gonna go get another. Actually, I might have another pair of batteries just in my drawer here. No, my controller. Okay. Oh, batteries, where are you? Please. Do we not have batteries? Shit. I'll be back in just a minute. Vosh said Republicans try to give you mental illness. That's true. And it sounds dumb and like comedic, but it actually is true. Mental illness can be a very paralyzing force. And in fact, a lot of the anti-immigrant narratives would very easily like propagate in a schizophrenic like brain environment. Legitimately. And there is some like mental illness that can be acquired through repeated exposure, like schizophrenia, like paranoia and shit. Anyways, where's the like? Okay, I gotta get batteries. I'll be right back. Okay, the big reveal. I might have been dumb. I may or may not have been dumb. I think the batteries are actually in here. Am I true? No. Yeah, where the fuck are the batteries? I'm losing it here. They're incredibly depressing to watch. Everything's just the woke mob is out to get you. Yeah, the language of insert group is out to get you is very paranoia inducing by design. Like it is very much the intent of Republicans to introduce mental illness and paranoid schizophrenia into the minds of the American people so that they will vote Republican to protect them from the scary immigrant phantoms that haunt their nightmares or whatever. I don't know where we put the battery. I'll be real. All right, I have finally found the balance. I hate living like that, where I think literally everyone is trying to undermine my way of life. Yeah, when people like myself or Vosh say that conservatives are fucking miserable, we mean it. Like it's whether you take it to be demeaning or not, it is also a term of like, it is also a descriptor of sympathy, right? Like, right wingers do not enjoy living like that. That's part of the reason that constructing a counter narrative, that they can attach to in the form of like socialism and like left populism, because if you have something that you can believe in that doesn't make you feel like you are an island where there are a million hostile forces trying to like kill you at all times that aren't there, like, it's just, it's no way to live. And that's why it's like, that's why the only way that Republicans have really been able to beat Democrats is because Democrats haven't been doing anything at all. you know Like, hey, what if the fucking scary immigrants weren't out to get you, but actually there are businesses that have different interests from you, and actually if we work together, we can do something about it. The right wing simultaneously hates the left and also wants to be their friend because they think you should be friends with the opposite party. Yeah, conservatives fucking depend on liberals and the left for, like, having a life. Like, why, like, they'll call you pedophiles and groomers and rapists and whatever, and then expect you to still be friends with them. That's kind of what I was getting at when I say that, like, in the minds of the average American, there's a distinct separation between the interpersonal and the political. And when politics breaches the realm of the interpersonal, people turn into, like, fucking Karl Marx, because a lot of right wingers, well, this is just on the first point. A lot of right wingers will be virulently anti-immigrant online, but then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, Jorge, the guy from work, he's pretty cool. We went to a barbecue one time. He's a cool guy." And but then the other thing, King Alex, welcome to chat. Welcome back, I should say. But then the other thing is that, like, because a lot of, like, the far right online is so obsessed with posting some dumb shit, and like, because their politics are so toxic to the existence of a lot of people who are on the left, people just start cutting them out of their lives because it's some cult shit. It's kind of like how people will cut out members of their family who are cult members, or who believe something diametrically opposed to your existence. Like, imagine if I had a family member. I actually don't need to imagine this because I do have family that's like this. If there was a family member that believed that the woke mob is coming to get them, that immigrants are the devil, and that queer people are grooming children and shouldn't exist. I'm queer. Like this person holds a belief that is fundamentally hostile to the concept of my existence. And like, of course I would cut all contact with them. I mean, for me, it wasn't very active because I hadn't been in contact with this person for a long time. Sometimes families kind of drift apart in a certain way. But, like, once I found out that they were hyper conservative and were like, oh yeah, the groomers and whatever coming to get our kids and whatever, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely not, gonna restart contact with this person, because if there were a lynch mob formed in like, if I were ever in the South and, like, a lynch mob formed, he would be part of that lynch mob. I don't feel like I owe this person anything. Yeah, real Cryoraptor. It's literally that. And they are genuinely, a lot of the sort of outrage may be purely performative in the matters of, like, calling people groomer pedos or whatever, but the outrage and genuine, like, the upsettedness over people disowning them over politics, as they would put it, is real. That is very real. Because they, like, without the liberal friends in their lives, conservatives are nothing. without the liberal and left-leaning friends in their lives, conservatives are just a sad, like, you know, miserable sort of hunk of incoherent conspiracism looking for somebody to trigger. You know, like, it's just comes back to the old realization that a lot of liberals will even agree with, that so much of conservative political identity is just triggering the libs or whatever, you know? Ah! I shouldn't have used my golden there. Yeah, yeah, like, there are literally parents who will, conservative parents who will kick their kids out of the house for being gay and then get mad when those kids disown them right back. Like, fucking, you know? What did you expect? I think I may have to alter the parameters of this challenge because I don't think there's any way I'm going to be able to get, like, a decent spot with this character vehicle combo. We'll see. We'll see. Oh, boy. I'm going to have to ban that guy when I get the chance. Am I gonna beat this guy? Dang. Alright. Get him out of here. Yeah, .ru. Great. Thank you. You know what? In the interest of actually making progress on this, I think I'm just gonna call that, like, alright, fine. I can move on to the next vehicle. Which is gonna be the fucking booster seat. I don't know. I think maybe top three positions, or top two for a 4-player room is going to be my criteria for the carts. And then for the bikes, I'll be able to set the bar a little bit higher because with the bikes, I actually feel like I can control this. Hopefully this stream I'll be able to get through a couple of vehicles. Okay. Ah, I'm so fucking bad at this vehicle. I'm not good at using carts. You guys remember the Mini Beast, the stream where I did the Mini Beast, which is, I'm still working on that segment, believe me. You guys know I'm not very good at using carts. Snake. What's the worst possible car layout ever? In Mario Kart Wii, I think the car that I'm currently on is the worst vehicle. The question would just be, what is the worst lightweight character to use it with? And I think it's Baby Mario. I think Baby Mario, for the stat, like, prioritization of Mario Kart Wii, is the worst character. And this is the worst vehicle. So the worst character vehicle combo in Mario Kart Wii is Baby Mario with the Baby Booster. You see what the Chinese got caught doing? What do you mean? What? Got caught doing? Is it gonna be some shit that, like, every country does all the time? Blooper? The best item in the game. Let's go. Chinese ship cut internet cables in the Baltic Sea. That's probably not good. Don't know why they would be doing that, though. Like, legitimately, I don't know what purpose that would serve. They cut our cable with Sweden? Rip. Why am I getting... Goddamn. Suffering from success. Rip. Probably Russia, because they wanted to do it. Wait, you said the Chinese got caught doing this. Is it China or Russia? If it's Russia, then that makes sense. It was a Chinese ship. Okay. But no, I did not see this. I hadn't seen that. Used an anchor. Huh. You hear what's happening at Israel? Oh boy, did I. I heard about I saw in the Discord chat people I talked about this a little bit. That there was a little bit before Thanksgiving, there was a ceasefire agreed to by both Israel and Hezbollah, which of course did not last. At least to my knowledge, it hasn't. I think Israel's continued bombing there, but you know, the main thing that I saw coming out of the Middle East was well, first off, that like Palestine's fucked, like it's done. You know, like Israel's just they're gonna have their genocide, and it's like the status of Lebanon is also uncertain. What I saw outside of that was that the rebels were making some ground in Syria, which would be good because Syria's like failed state. How's America going to justify that in the media? They just won't mention it. They'll say, like, Hezbollah broke the ceasefire or something. You know? Bro is really asking, what are they going to do? Lie? When that's, like, the thing that they've been doing. Took the capital. Oh, yeah. The rebels took Aleppo. Ceasefire agreement was already broken. Lamau. I could be remembering that wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw some news about like strikes occurring in Lebanon after the ceasefire had already been agreed to and like implemented or something. I'll double check that. Rebels used to be linked with Al-Qaeda. The rebels were linked with fucking everybody. They just hate Assad. They hate Assad and they hate ISIS. That's good enough. Oh, shit. Third? Let's go. How many times in history you have to teach people not to trust dictators with ceasefires? Infinite times. I heard they were reformed. Yeah, if you take a look at their wiki page, their ideology includes, like, any and everything. So, they're mostly just an anti-Assad coalition. But given that the bar is Assad, I think it's safe to say, like, they're probably a preferable alternative, at least for the time being. If nothing else, they would probably resolve to bring some... It seems like, from what I saw on the Wikipedia about the organization and their leadership, that they just want Syria to not be a failed state. And to that effect, they're willing to, like, you know, not be Assad too. Remember those stories about Boeing making unsafe planes? Oh boy, do I. What were we talking about? The very varied rebel groups in Syria, the anti-government troops, you know. Assad ran away to Moscow too. I did see that. Yeah, the Syrian rebels. It's about 1 billion different rebels in Syria. Yeah, there's so many rebel groups in Syria, but a lot of them just really hate Assad and are thus like in varying states of like uneasy alliance. You know, some of them are on bad terms with each other, and like there's infighting on like infighting on top of infighting, but they all don't like Assad and are willing to at least like operate with that as a common assumption. All right. Kind of have to do this in order to stay in the race here. Ow. Shit. Boeing plane fell on some dude's house? What? Average Boeing safety standards. Our ISIS is completely dead now. Not completely. There are some disparate elements of them in Syria still, but they don't control very much territory. And I think the main place that ISIS is currently active is sub-Saharan Africa, actually. Video of the plane. I don't want to watch a plane fall in a dude's house and kill somebody. That seems like it might, that could be bad for, like, TOS reasons. Not on stream, I mean, okay. I might take a look at it in a sec. No, come on. Yeah, Boko Haram is the branch of ISIS that's like active in Western Africa. I think Nigeria and like Burkina Faso and there's some countries in that region that are currently like there's usually a big conflict sowing instability that's happening, and that's the big one right now. I noticed your streams disappear after you make the next one. I was wondering why that happens. Yeah, Twitch TV does not have permanent VOD storage. All of the live streams that I do are stored as a part of a publicly available playlist of unlisted videos on my YouTube channel. So all my streams are permanently up there, but on Twitch they'll only be up temporarily as long as Twitch allows them to be up. I've looked at it a couple of times. There's really nothing I can do about it. After a certain amount of time, Twitch just deletes the VOD. That's why I kind of have to decide what I am going to make a segment within a, like, either during stream or, like, within a couple of days of stream happening, so I can download the VOD before it gets deleted. The thing is, I sometimes rewatch the parts where I talk about X-Men. That's nice. Come on. Oh. I'm just gonna use this because holy shit, this thing is slow. Alright. Give me this box. We going 99 kmh. That's like barely faster than a fucking Flame Runner wheelie speed. I need this box. Thank you. That's good, I think. Theories are that Russia was behind it. Don't fucking go hog wild right away. There's a reason that you mentioned that it was a Boeing plane that crashed. Like, what reason would Russia have to crash that? Like, you know, usually when Russia does stuff, there's a pretty evident geopolitical, like, motivation for them doing it. There's theories that Russia's behind a lot of stuff. You can ask the average liberal in the United States, and everything bad that happens is, like, somehow Russia's fault. Which, I mean, Russia has its fingers in a lot of pies, but let's not, you know, let's not compare bad bitches when there are also fascists in the United States, right? Yeah, please don't go. Yeah, don't be that, like, comment section guy. I don't think it was Russia myself. Yeah, that doesn't seem like it would be something that Russia just does, you know, like I would think at least that Russia would probably, like, strategic targeting seems like the name of the game. Like with that what you were saying about those cables, internet cables being cut, you know, cutting lines of communication, cutting energy, infrastructure, whatever. Targeting logistics is something that I would expect Russia to do. A Boeing passenger plane? Or is it even a passenger plane? Well, if it was identifiable as a Boeing plane, then it might have been a passenger plane. I don't know. Here, actually, good time to check the link. It was a cargo plane. Yeah, in that case, you know, it's possible that it was Russia. You know? But that wouldn't, like, be anything particularly notable. Not to me, anyways. Whoa. Big explosion. Plane crash. Yeah, okay. 3 people in the crew actually survived the crash. Wow. I'm always impressed at what, like, people will survive. They're, like, fucking giant fireball explosion nuke decimates a whole town. 12 casualties. Like, shit, okay. The cockpit fell off. Okay. That's why they live. I got you. Is it funny that crazy people call us the crazy ones? Yeah, a little bit. Because, you know, to them, we are crazy. You know, crazy is a relative term. And, of course, we're over here in, like, the real material world trying to analyze things that occur according to the circumstances around us and according to various, like, material interests and motivations and whatnot. And then, like, they're over there in fucking La La Land, and to, like, they're like, how could you not see the, like, there's just no self-awareness, you know? The what? The cockpit. Many such cases. Do you know what's funny? The, like, different committees and coalitions, like the sub-coalitions in America, are called caucuses. It's really fucking funny. Like, in America, there's sort of a mishmash of, like, there's something that resembles a coalition government system, where inside the Democratic and Republican Party, there are different groups that have different priorities and stuff. You know, and like, if you look at the wiki page for, oh, what caucuses exist in the Democrats and the Republicans, it'll show you, like, oh, yeah, these are the caucuses in the Democratic Party. You'll have the Black Democrats caucus, the Progressive caucus, the fucking Blue Dog caucus, or whatever. But they're all called caucuses. Like, fucking... Bro, why is the unit of political organization in America caucus? Like you're telling me is what I'm saying. In Congress. Committees and caucuses. Oh, some of these are really small. And they're more like committees. Where is, one of these is supposed to be really big. Maybe not. Just a goofy, American government moment. Come on, give me an item. No, I thought I'd be slow enough. Suffering from success. I was too fast. You see what's happening in Georgia? I did! I saw that there's, like, massive, anti-government, protests because they have, like, a pro-Putin, like, authoritarian, government over there right now. And people are pretty mad about it. Justifiably so, of course. And then I saw... the one video clip I saw was from a protest where a guy had a fucking Gatling flare gun. Like, fucking rapid-fire flares at the police. They may have rigged the election. May have. You're telling me a government that's heavily influenced by its giant fascist authoritarian neighbor, and that its neighbor of the fascist and authoritarian variety has interest in, may have possibly rigged the election to ensure that those interests are not challenged in a meaningful way. That's crazy. Georgian Civil War when? Well... Redox, yes. No. Just a red shell? Dang. Get out of here. Whoever. Come on, come on. Okay. What would happen if America went through another civil war? I know it's unlikely. If America went through another civil war, we wouldn't go through another civil war. The way that civil wars work is so different than the way they used to work. Developed countries don't have civil wars anymore. Right? Unlike... we can't have this... Georgia, the state and country need to reunite. We can't have this two-state solution anymore. Fucking true. That's so real. Yeah, the Civil War was only, like, possible in the 1860s because basically the degree of instability that the United States was experiencing in the 1850s and 60s is comparable to the degree of instability that a lot of sub-Saharan African, Southeast Asian, and like, you know, well, I guess those are the two main areas. Like, those countries today experience a similar degree of instability that America did in the 1850s and 60s. Like, the bar is really, really high to produce that sort of armed conflict where governments and anti-government forces are meeting each other on the battlefield with regular troops. You know, what usually tends to happen in periods of internal instability and strife in a more developed country is more along the lines of like a military coup or the sort of clashing internally of the interests in the military and in government, right? Like when there's a divide in property interests between like the owning class and the not owning class, or even within factions of the owning class, that usually manifests institutionally rather than militarily, right? So if you were to reach like if the United States were to go through a period of internal strife, internal instability today, it would not be a civil war. The United States would literally have to like turn into fucking Central African Republic levels of unstable and impoverished in order for a civil war, like legit civil war, to be possible. it would probably look more like a much more regular appearance of like militia groups, you know, sort of rolling around, some of them with and without the protection of police. Almost like a really, really miniaturized version of the cartel crisis in Mexico, where there are armed groups that don't really have, like, on paper, they don't have access to state power, but there are some ways in which, like, certain elements of the state are more on their side here or there. You know, it would actually be much more messy and disorganized than a civil war. You know? Because remember, the entire cause of political reaction in America and elsewhere is, like, property interests. You know, like the interests of the owning class. You know? And civil war is pretty fucking bad for those interests. Oh, nice. Am I gonna get a good spot? Maybe? No! Damn it. Alright, I'm gonna bully all of you. What? We were all 30 seconds behind? Fuck it, I'll take that. Finally, I get to stop playing as this goddamn baby stroller. And I get to move on to another shit-ass lightweight vehicle. Oh boy. Yeah, Saved by the Bell. Who would have thought? I'm gonna try to get through 3 vehicles today. And then I'll call it there. Oh, would you look at that? The Mini Beast. Perfect. My favorite. I really like the Mini Beast. Even though it's not a good vehicle, I really like it. Oh, Broken Pier. I know this one. I know how to race this one on the Mini Beast. Alright, let's do it. Wait. No, I was thinking of something else. Crap. Come on. Oh, this thing turns so much better than the fucking stroller and the standard cart. The fact that this is an upgrade, and it, like, actually a pretty big upgrade from those, tells you how bad those other vehicles are, that if this is handling, like, drastically better. Alright. Oh, yeah. Look at me go, dude. It's like I remember how to play this vehicle or something. It's crazy. Alright. I'm sick with it. I'm in second going into lap 2. Hello? We have a breakaway? Let's go, dude. I'm so down for this. Let's do it. Oh, yeah. Oh, baby. Look at this snaking. No, 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 no. I cannot believe I didn't fall off there. You guys saw how much went wrong at that exact moment. Holy shit. That was like a last minute gambit to avoid hitting the wall there, and it actually worked, which is wild. I'm a genius. I avoided that guy's red shell. Alright, I'm gonna chain this here. Yeah. Oh, he messed that up. Dang. Who's ready for me to fucking have the race of a lifetime with the Mini Beast? Are you seeing this shit? I front run this whole thing. Let's go, dude. Holy shit. Am I a Mini Beast player now? Let's fucking get it. Oh my god, second place. Look at you, boy. Holy shit. All that fucking trial by fire during the like mini beast video paid off. Ooh, baby. That means I just end the stream right here. We did it. We did the fucking get top 3 spot slash gain VR with 3 lightweight vehicles. I'm gonna do more of this next time. That's all the juice I have in me today because I had work earlier today. I just got back from Thanksgiving and stuff. This was fun. And I did talk about, I think, most of the politics that I wanted to talk about, which was like leftists continue to have not read theory as usual. Rosa Luxemburg, Chad's eating good tonight. You know, the tariffs would be fucking awful if they happened. Like, legitimately, I actually think to draw a line between those two topics, if the tariffs that Trump wanted to happen happened, it will legitimately be like what every Marxist predicts as the like inevitable collapse of capitalism. Like, it would be that bad, you know? To put it in perspective, tariffs are a even more regressive tax than sales tax, right? Everybody at every stage in the production process is going to try to offload the costs of a tariff to the next guy. You know, which means the guys at port, the guys in the transportation industry, the guys in the distribution industry, probably several stages of the transportation industry, all are going to try to offload that cost. And then obviously the stores that are stocking the products that were made overseas are going to try to offload that cost. So with the like a process that takes like anywhere from 5 to 10 stages of that sort of offloading costs and middlemen to complete, the tariff is going to be amplified from 10% to something more like 30% in order for each person in that process to make a more comfortable profit. That's just the theory of how capitalism works. Adam Smith knew this. Yeah, and that's how you get $50 loaves of bread, right? So like, let's say you're getting a fucking, what's something expensive that I can like use as a frame of reference? A good like ergonomic chair, right? Like the one I'm sitting in, right? Something like that would cost, I don't know, a few $100, something like that. They're not cheap. Let's say you're getting a good ergonomic chair, like office chair or something, and it costs like $500. You know, decent enough. With a 10% tariff, right? That would go from $500 to $550. If you take the 10% at face value. But in reality, what's happening is that at port, it gets taxed at an additional 10% of its value. That tariff, that 550 is what the guys see at port. What they're going to do is they're like, shit, I guess we got to eat these costs. Let's try to offload them. So they're going to increase the price by $60, by $70, by $80 or whatever, enough to offset the $50 that would be added to a $500 price tag. Assuming that $500 would still be like a margin of profit for them, right? So instead of like the tariff being added at each stage of the process, you get progressively more and more until a $500 piece of ergonomic furniture that was manufactured in China and shipped to the United States, instead of costing $550 at retail as a result of a 10% tariff, because has gone through that cycle so many times, ends up costing more like $700 to $800. Does that make sense? Or at the very least, something like, well, actually, no, yeah, I think $700 would be a good ballpark for that. That's about a 40% price increase. Because, like I said, you know, production and distribution is complicated in a modern economy. Everybody at every stage wants to make a profit. In order to do that, if they have a cost like a tariff, they're going to offload that to the next guy. And where does that leave the consumer? They're the ones that has to eat the cost of the tariff in full. With these tariffs, are Republicans against the free market now? Free market has always been kind of like a vacuous, meaningless phrase, but Republicans are for whatever the corporate interests want, and they're against whatever the corporate interests don't like. Sometimes the corporate interests might not like the free market as much, but I guarantee you Republicans like the free market because corporations like the free market. Tariffs hurt everybody, and that means corporations too. That doesn't necessarily mean they would categorically categorically object to doing them because they would profit relatively. But, you know, Republicans don't really have any values beyond power and whatever their rich daddies want. And like I said, because tariffs are so disastrous and would result in people being instantly deprived of their goodies, thus resulting in probably mass social upheaval, they probably won't happen. Not in the fullest extent that Trump is like marketed them, you know? The American people, part of what makes neoliberal capitalism capable of surviving is that it generates apathy. And in order for people to be apathetic, they have to be comfortable enough to at least live in a sort of apathetic state. You can't do that if all of a sudden everything has a 30 to 50% price increase on it, you know? Life is already, in a neoliberal system, even one relatively comfortable like in the United States, where, you know, average income is higher than other countries, things are pretty tenuous. If they get really, really more tenuous really quickly, that doesn't have good consequences for the ruling class or for the owning class. That threatens them because of how much of a stab in the side it is to, you know, the working masses. So they probably won't do it, at least not in full. We saw in the first Trump administration, they were willing to do tariffs on, I think, agricultural imports and exports or something like that, which already was pretty bad, and farmers needed to be reimbursed big time by the government. You know, United States taking a page out of the EU's book, you know, giving subsidies to farmers. But in the United States case, we actually had a reason to do it because we'd fucking shot the agriculture industry in the foot by just doing tariffs with our largest trade partner for no reason at all. Whereas in Europe, they're like, man, that's so sad. Another 5 billion euros to the farming industry, you know? Kind of like how America's like, damn, that's crazy. Another 20 billion to Israel. Right? Anyways, that's my take on the tariffs. Tariffs are bad unless you're a developing country, in which case they can be good for developing industry internally. America is the top dog. We have no reason to do tariffs. They would only hurt everybody involved. Yeah. But now, Republicans don't really have values. Fucking slimy-ass, grifter-ass political party. They'll just say whatever. You know? Anywho, who is live right now? Back to Twitch. Simple Flips, Cody Schwab. Alright. We are going to raid Lumiru. We haven't raided them in a while. Or her? I don't know. I'll default to them. Raid Lumiru. Yay. The title of the stream is Twitter dying? The question of our time. I hope so, personally.